Hello my friends, and welcome to Boulder Lake. We have been here before. This is a place I come back to every time I'm home. The success with photographs here has been very hit or miss. I've either done really well or really poorly, but it just always intrigues me. It's just this great, it's a reservoir. It's the Boulder Lake Reservoir is what it's called, but it's just dotted with these little bits of land, little tiny islands all over the place with all these trees, which is great. There's lots of dead driftwood, huge boulders, hence the name Boulder Lake. And it's just really pretty. So come out here quite a bit just to kind of look around and see what I can find. This is where I got what I consider one of my first successful photographs. So it holds a special place in my heart. So I come back when I'm home and explore. And that's what we're gonna do today. I am also here, to be honest, do a little bit of a location scout. I have a start trail in mind, and I'm thinking this island right out here is gonna be kind of my interest in the frame. And then of course, a bunch of stars circling around it. But obviously we're not gonna do that now because it's daytime. But I wanted to come and look at it and see what I think, see if it's doable, and research that. Other than that, plan today is to hike, keep my eyes open, see if we find anything pretty to photograph. So let's go do that. All right, so I think I found our first little scene right here along the edge of the lake, and it's a little scene. There is in the rocks, in the water here, right along the edge of the lake. See my camera set up right there. Legs are spread out wide, mostly to get out of my shot, because the thing I want to get is this tiny, tiny red pebble right there. Let me show it to you on the back of my camera. I think it's a little easier to explain here. So, right here, kind of through the viewfinder, you see this tiny little red rock right in there amongst all these black rocks along the edge of the lake. And there's just enough contrast between that little red rock and everything else around it that it's interesting to me. And I also find it really great that it's just barely kind of below the surface of the water. So it's a little obscured by the water and the shimmer of the sunlight bouncing off the lake. So kind of a fun little abstract shot, I think. Something a little different. So we're just gonna play around with that, and hopefully that comes out. And that'll be shot number 1 on our day. Fantastic. Shot number 2. So I mentioned earlier there's all these great fallen trees and driftwood along this lake, and I found this great little log laying here along the edge. And what I really like about this one is just how deep the grooves and the cracks are in it, and also there's just these striations of just really dark color where it's been waterlogged in the past, and just a tiny little bit of moss up at the tip of it. So I'm gonna try to do this somehow. It's in my head, it's probably a black and white. I reserve the right to change my mind about that at any moment. But I'm also thinking long exposure. I think I want to just flatten out that water behind it, make it just kind of this pinnacle shape coming up in the frame. So I'm gonna set up the tripod, play around with some framing of this thing, and we'll check back in and see where we ended up. All right, so we're set up for the shot and we're ready to take it. We're shooting an ISO 200 f/16 50-second shutter speed. There's a polarizer to take the glare off of the water, The 10-stop neutral density is giving me that really long exposure, and I'm doing that really long exposure just to really just flatten out this water. The water is not so much an element in this image. It's all about this log. This log is just kind of washed up on the shore, and where it's dried out and bleached out, it's really white and contrasty to the dark, wet parts of the log where the waves have been lapping up over it. Shooting at an f/16 because I really want this to be sharp front to back. So I have this branch that's kind of wrapping around the trunk of this tree, coming into the bottom right of my frame, and then just sweeping together and up in the back. And just the texture of this wood is so great. That's really what the image is all about. It's just that contrast and the texture. So 50 seconds to make the water a non-element in this image, really. ISO 200, 2-second timer. Hit the shutter, wait, and we are done. Really simple. That's 2 shots today. We got the little red pebble, and then we got the great fallen log here along the edge of the lake. I'm very happy with that. It's just kind of, I like how sometimes it's just the small little details. It just reminds you to stop and look at the little things. Because you end up at some place like this and you look at this big sweeping vista, and it's easy to get overwhelmed by it. And sometimes there's a beautiful shot with the great big sweeping vista, but sometimes it's the little things. So just need to stop and slow down and look down at your feet every once in a while. And that seems to have been the theme on today. So look down at your feet. Sometimes the best stuff is right below you. So we're gonna hike here a little further around the edge. We're gonna explore the other bank a little bit and see if there's anything else to find. Beautiful day today. Not a single complaint. I'm just gonna keep on enjoying it. Well, we couldn't find our way around the corner to the edge of the lake over here. Water's too high on the shore side. Trees are too thick on the wooded side. But that's the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. Still a beautiful day. We got 2 images I think I'm happy with. We got the little red pebble and we've got the fallen tree. So there are no complaints from my end. It's a beautiful morning and a fantastic way to start the day. And I want to thank you for coming along with me. As always, please give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more. Tell your friends, the more, the merrier. And from Boulder Lake here in Duluth, Minnesota, so long, and we'll see you next time.